Today we're going to show you how to immediately improve your communication skills. Stay tuned. This episode of Keeping It Real is brought to you by Real Geeks. How many homes are you going to sell this year? Do you have the right tools? Is your website turning soft leads into interested buyers? Are you spending money on leads that aren't converting? Well, Real Geeks is your solution. Find out why agents across the country choose Real Geeks as their technology partner. Real Geeks was created by an agent for agents. They pride themselves on delivering a sales and marketing solution so that you can easily generate more business. Their agent websites are fast and built for lead conversion with a smooth search experience for your visitors. Real Geeks also includes an easy-to-use agent CRM. So once a lead signs up on your website, you can track their interest and have great follow-up conversations. Real Geeks is loaded with a ton of marketing tools to nurture your leads and increase brand awareness. Visit realgeeks.com/keepingitrealpod and find out why realtors come to Real Geeks to generate more business. Again, visit realgeeks.com/keepingitrealpod. And now, onto our show. Today's episode is brought to you by Corded.io. Are you looking for agents to join your brokerage or team? Now, as a real estate recruiter, I can tell you the answer is always yes. But most agents aren't looking to move right now. So how do you know who to contact? Well, what if I were to tell you there's a recruiting and retention tool powered by artificial intelligence that shows you exactly which agents in your local market are looking to leave their brokerage right now and which agents at your own firm are also looking to leave you? Now, I've been recruiting realtors for 15 years and I've hired over 2,000 agents. I can tell you with no exaggeration, this is the tool I've been waiting for. Corded's AI looks for trends across dozens of variables for each agent in your market and shows you which agents they believe are likely to move. Not only does it do that, but Corded's AI went and visited my recruiting website and read everything I offer. So now when I'm recruiting, Corded's AI tells me exactly what to say based on that agent's needs and what my brokerage can offer. It even writes emails for me. I've never seen anything like it, and I use it every single day. Now, if you are looking to grow your brokerage, Corded.io is the best tool out there. Visit Corded.io to schedule a demo. Again, that's Corded.io. And now, onto the show. Hello and welcome to another episode of Keeping It Real, the largest podcast made by real estate agents and for real estate agents. My name is DJ Paris. I'm your guide and host through the show. Welcome back to our returning listeners. Welcome to anyone new. We appreciate all of you and thank you for continuing to spread the word. Let other agents know about our show. We've been around now 7 years and just crossed over 7 million downloads, all thanks to you. So again, my appreciation goes out to everybody. In a moment, I'm going to be speaking with communication expert Kamryn Reynolds about how you can immediately improve your communication skills to get more deals, more authentically connect with your clients, and have deeper and better relationships. So before we get to that, just as a quick reminder, if you haven't reviewed our podcast on whatever app you're listening to us on, we would appreciate it. Go ahead and give us a star review. Let us know what you think of the show. Helps us out a lot. And again, please continue to tell all the agents in your office about this great podcast. Oh, one last thing. Kamryn and I had a slight communication error ourselves. This was just a technology thing. So you'll hear there's a little bit of a delay towards the end of the podcast where he and I aren't totally in sync. I apologize for that. No unfortunate fix, but you'll still be able to get unbelievable value. And I can't wait for you to listen. So let's just jump right to it. My conversation with Kamryn Reynolds. What is the best piece of advice you ever have heard or anyone gave you around communication?
The best piece, one of my big mentors, not a real mentor, more like a fake mentor, I learn a lot from him, is Vin Jiang. He's the Asian dude that's all over social media with communication. He's the magician. He always talks about frames. And then I found this is very common in a lot of communication. When I was really getting into it at the beginning, it was all about the frames and how to structure your ideas so they come out better, they come out more clear, they come out easier to understand rather than that garbled mess that you have in your head. So that's probably the best.
I love that. And what is one mistake that drives you nuts that people, or what's the number one mistake people make around communication?
Ooh, the number one mistake that's killing your effectiveness inside of communication. The best way to describe this is one of my college professors. Amazing woman, super intelligent, very good teacher, knew what she was talking about, but the way she talked just put everybody to sleep. And what I mean by that is she would use the same exact tone and rhythm and pace, and it would sound, nobody could pay attention. To give you an example, she would always be talking like this, and she wouldn't stop, and it was the exact same for 45 minutes, and it never stopped doing anything but this, and it was horrible. The vocal dynamics
I
is
just fell
probably the
asleep, by
biggest
the way.
mistake.
I
Yeah,
completely just
it's
fell asleep. Yeah.
you lose everybody. You could be talking about absolutely nothing, but if it sounds interesting, you can keep people on. If it doesn't, then it doesn't matter what you're talking about.
You know, it does a perfect job of what you're talking about is NPR radio. So NPR radio is funny because they use a very slow and calm mentality. They could say like, today a fire took out an entire village, 300 people were dead. And you're like, oh, that sounds great. And then you're like, wait a minute, what? Yeah. So I totally understand. All right. Kamryn Reynolds, he is our guest today. He is a communication coach, keynote speaker, and the founder of Articulate Advantage, which is a coaching firm helping professionals master their voice and turn conversations into opportunities. Before I tell you a little bit more about Kamryn, I want to make a big play for this. Really, whatever profession you're in, if you're listening to this, you're almost assuredly a realtor. I promise you that this is so important and it's so much beyond what you say. We're going to talk a lot about how you say things. We just discussed a little bit of that with tonality. And we're going to talk about frames, as Kamryn mentioned. I promise you, this is so important and it's something that never gets talked about. But more about Kamryn. He is a lifelong student of human connection. Kamryn combines the science of influence with the art of authenticity to help business owners build trust, earn referrals, and grow with intention. He's trained entrepreneurs, sales teams, and service professionals all across the country with a focus on practical storytelling, confident delivery, and referral-based growth. While he's not coaching or speaking, when he's not coaching or speaking, Kamryn serves as an executive director for BNI, which many of you listening are probably members of, where he helps chapters grow through stronger presentations and strategic relationships. His unique perspective and energy have earned him stages at national conferences, and today he's here to share the frameworks and mindset shifts that make referrals a natural outcome of genuine connection. I believe fully that the real estate business is a relationship business, and referrals come from the deepest of those relationships. We're going to talk about that today. I want everybody to visit Kamryn's website at articulateadvantage.com. Again, articulateadvantage.com. We'll have a link to that in the show notes, and follow him on social. That is Kamryn_Ray. That's KAMRYN_REY. We'll have a link to all of his social and his social accounts as well as his website. Kamryn, welcome.
Thank you. I feel welcome.
Thank you. I will tell you as a sort of thing to the audience that I use my voice sometimes to make myself sound more interesting than I really am. And a little bit of enthusiasm or excitement really does have a tremendous impact well beyond the words I'm saying. So I am so excited to talk to you about this today. Before we get into sort of the practical ways of utilizing communication strategy, I want to learn about your story. So how did you get into this?
That's a great question. There's the more purposeful why, and then there's the series of events why. But the more purposeful why is growing up, I was never, the most athletic. I was never the smartest, never the best looking, right? Never. And so I had to be able to talk. And that served me really well throughout high school, getting onto TikTok, doing random things with my friends, whatever I thought was funny at the time, and gained hundreds of thousands of followers. But as soon as I graduated high school, right, I turned 18, and I decided to drop everything I've ever known and serve a mission trip in Argentina for a couple years. And going from my number one thing is to be able to communicate and talk to people to living in a country in this small town of a couple thousand people with dirt streets, and it's called the Windy City of Argentina. It's called Zapala, is the name of the town, where I couldn't communicate with anybody. I couldn't connect with anybody because I didn't know the language and I didn't know the culture. And that was huge. And before that point, I never really knew what depression was like, because all it was to me was when a girl in high school, the guy they like didn't like him back, and they're like, oh my gosh, I'm depressed. And I'm like, oh my goodness, get over yourself. The sun is in the sky. There's food on your table. There's a roof over your head. Like, life is good. Depression is fake. But when I felt completely alone in a country on this other side of the world, I really got to understand what that felt like,
Yeah.
to really be depressed, to have no connection with anybody for months, until I finally was able to learn how to speak, getting the culture, because I'd be in rooms full of people, but the worst part is I'd feel completely
Yeah.
alone until I relearned how to communicate from the ground up in a different language with different culture, different hand movements, different face movements. And so that gave me a deeper appreciation for it. And so when I got back, being inside of BNI, presenting, speaking, I was like, man, yeah, this is great. And then I realized not everybody is great at this. And I see so many people who I can just tell they felt like I did back when I lived in Argentina, where they would feel completely alone, even though they're surrounded with people. So that's really why I do what I do, is to help people connect, because connection, man, if you don't have connection, life's hard.
Yeah, and with connection, life
Life is
is
hard.
worth living. I think there's we're wired for connection. It's the data is pretty clear on that. We're not meant to be alone. And in order to, I think about this a lot with,
Yeah.
I'll give you an example, a personal example with my girlfriend. So we're, in the stages of, going to figuring out our the rest of our lives. And we work on our communication
Nice.
specifically around conflict, because conflict is the hardest part of
There
any
you go.
relationship, and it's inevitable. It's just part of the deal. And everyone's got different rules, but also everyone's got different communication styles and strategies. And some people, when they get into conflict, they withdraw, and that's what they need. And they need to go away and kind of process. Other people want to, confront and have a more spirited conversation, or try to work it out in the moment, right? These are all different ways of getting to the same end, which is some sort of resolution. And we work on this because, of course, we're two different human beings from different backgrounds, different communication, styles in our families growing up. And, now it's like, hey, we better figure this out, and we need to practice it, so that when we do get into conflict, and we do, of course, everyone does, we have a
Of
process
course.
for reconnection. And that a lot of it has to do with
Yeah.
how, oftentimes it's not about what we're arguing. Like, what we're arguing is fairly trivial. It's just, whatever. It's an argument about
Mm-hmm.
something usually not that important, but we can get very heated and very upset about it. And that doesn't really serve us. So we have processes that we've studied about how to exactly do this. So I use it practically in my home life, but I also see so much potential to use it in business world as well, or just to deepen friendships even, so I'm such a fan of this. Let's
Absolutely.
dive in. So
So let's double down on that, the connection piece, because it's so important in everything we do. Have you ever heard of the Rat Park?
no.
There was this whole research study into Rat Park. So it was this research study originally to define and really understand addiction. And what they did is they took a rat and they got a cage, and they put the rat in the cage with two different water bottles. One was just normal water, and one was water laced with either heroin or crack, depending on the day. And this rat, every single time, would go to the drugged water and would overdose every time. And so scientists and the people who studied this, they drew a lot of conclusions from that. And they said, if the chemical hooks are strong enough, we will get hooked. We will eventually overdose. It overpowers us. And that's a lot of what we understand about addiction today. But then there was this other researcher who looked at that and he said, yeah, but let's try a couple other things. And so eventually he made this cage and he called it Rat Park. And this cage was filled with colorful balls and tunnels and toys. But most importantly, there was other rats. And so when they put the rat in, the test rat, they again had the 2 water bottles. They had the water and they had the drugged water. And what they found was crazy. What they found was that 0% of the time did a single rat overdose. Not once did it happen. And even crazier is none of the rats even liked the drugged water. None of them went back to it having that community.
Yeah. The reality was better.
He drew the conclusion
reality was better than escape. Yeah.
Of course. And so he drew the conclusion from this of what if the chemical hook isn't, the thing that gets us? What if it's a lack of connection that leads to addiction? Right? Because there's lots of different things that we get addicted to, whether it's our phones or drugs or food or sugar, right? And so it's that connection that is fundamental to so many things we do as humans. And that's just the exacerbated example of it. So
and in order,
I just wanted to get that in there because I think it's impressive.
Fascinating. And in order to have connection, you need to be an effective communicator. You just do. And it's something that very few people study.
It's a lot easier.
Yeah. Very few people study at all. And it's something that there are small tweaks that people can make. And these because you teach them about how to be more effective, how to connect with others more effortlessly. And just, so let's dive into it. So where do you want to start?
Let's start with, building on connection and how to connect better. Authenticity. I know this is huge for you. I was looking at your LinkedIn profile, prepping for this podcast, and I know that on yours, you said you have a line about authenticity. Do you remember what it is? Oh my goodness. I'm going to
something about trying to be authentic. I don't know. Hopefully.
Oh, it's something amazing. Let me see.
Oh, well, wow. I appreciate you. Flattery will get you
it'll get you pretty far, not gonna lie. But it was talking about like authenticity is your superpower or something like that. Or something, right? The importance of authenticity. And the biggest thing about it is authenticity can't be faked. Right? It's kind of in the definition of authenticity. As humans, we just understand when somebody's being authentic or when they're not. It's just that gut feeling. And if they're not authentic, you just don't connect because you always have that feeling of, what are they hiding? Are they keeping something back, right? You just feel the lack of authenticity. So building that in, man, if you don't have that, that's step one. That is step one, is having an authentic personality, one, but then having an authentic why. Because, right, this podcast primarily, I should say, is for realtors. And so as a realtor, if you're just doing it, because you want to sell houses, you want to make money, you want to dictate your own schedule, how you do things, when you do things, where you do them, you could have success. But it's the realtors that connect with their clients, who have an authentic purpose, and they express that in everything they do. Those are the realtors that have clients for generations, who sell the second, third home. They sell the kids' home. They buy the condo off at college. That's the real difference between just the realtor that sold me my house a couple years ago and the family friend who is one of us, is that authentic connection.
Yeah, I agree. You're absolutely right. And you see this a lot in social media for realtors, where there's some agents that will post really just their wins, which would be just sold this home, just listed a property, whatever. And those are fine. I guess it's nice to celebrate your wins. But the agents that talk more authentically about their lives and talk about maybe even their struggles, or certainly the things that are passionate to them, maybe around real estate or maybe in their personal life. Those agents, we want to connect with someone's authenticity, because I think the reason is because there's an honesty to it that we trust. So once we believe somebody's authentic, we don't have to worry about whether they're a trustworthy person or not. I think there's an inherent level of trust that's just kind of associated with that. So
I believe
there's
so.
something to be, I think there's something to be said about figuring out how to project authenticity, because you might be an authentic person, but your communication skills might not be up to par. And that authenticity might not be coming through, even though you are an ethical, honest, good human being. So I want to talk also about, what are some ways that people could increase the way they project authenticity? Is there any suggestions you have?
Absolutely. There's a lot of body language tricks to that. It's like everything, right? There is tricks, but it has to come from the right place. It's like
Yeah.
same thing. We're going to talk about authenticity, but same thing when it comes to however good you are at your job, however intelligent, however smart you are, people perceive you at the level of your communication, not at the level of your capability, which is crazy. And so
Let's say
same
that
thing
again.
with
Say that
authenticity.
again. Repeat that.
People perceive you at the level of your communication, not at the level of your capability. For good or for bad, it's true. And so this is
Yeah.
the same in authenticity. Is people are only as authentic as they communicate themselves to be. Now, this isn't just words. This is also body language. This is in actions. Everything you do is how you present yourself, is how you communicate. So you always hear one of the biggest tips and tricks for that is being open body language, not being closed off, not folding your arms always, but being open, taking up space, being comfortable. Because the more comfortable you are, a lot of times it means you don't have anything to hide. You're
Right.
open. You're comfortable. You feel safe. So it's easier for the rest of the things to happen, to be authentic. Another one is infuse emotion into what you're doing, because you have these people where they always just want to talk about the facts and the dates and how things happen and what happened versus putting emotion into it. Right? These are the people of when you say, "Oh, how you doing?" They say good. There's
Right.
no authentic. There's nothing authentic about
And
good,
by the way,
right? They're not telling you about how
good
they
isn't
really are.
really, yeah, good doesn't tell me much. Good tells me
No.
nothing bad is happening, but it doesn't tell me how you're really doing. Right.
It
And
might mean
so,
nothing bad is happening, or it just might mean they don't want to talk about it, right? Zero
yeah,
authenticity inside of good.
yeah,
So
and
authenticity
so
with that, give good answers.
I'll tell you one little tip that I learned many years ago was, because I'm quick to talk and interrupt, and that's not great communication skills, but I have that sort of mind that just kind of does that, and so I have to purposefully pause when someone asks me a
Mm,
question and really reflect before I answer. And
powerful.
that also demonstrates authenticity, because it's like, that's a great question. Let me think
Mm,
about it. Let me pause. It's respectful and it's flattering in a sense to the other person who asked it, because you're taking it in,
absolutely.
you're thinking about it, you're reflecting, and then you're responding. And
And what it
that
shows to
is something
them,
yeah,
absolutely. And what it shows to them, and I can see that you're this type of person, is you care what they're talking about. You're not just
mm,
giving some answer to get to the next thing. You actually care what they're saying. You care about how you respond. And that is something very, very powerful for authenticity. And that's why you can see that, DJ, you are an authentic person. And so that's why I think it really comes from you in that way.
yeah, thank you. I very much appreciate that. I've always found that there's an opportunity anytime we meet another human being. Everyone's passionate about something. Like, it could be a
Mm.
hobby, it could be their personal life, it could be whatever. Just they're into
Could be
something.
underwater basket weaving. Who knows?
It could be. And if someone's into that, I now am like, how did you get into that? Why did you get into that? Tell me what that does for you, because I don't understand
Mhm.
that at all, and I want to understand. But I love seeing whatever it is with somebody, them light up. And people light up around at least one thing in their life. And very few people will ask them about that thing if it's like not known, if they don't, And so I
And they're the
always
best
think
conversations.
best conversations. Yeah. And so I just try to get curious. So I think this is a great tip for anyone, that if you're worried about how to communicate with somebody, Get interested in what they're interested in. Find out what
Mm.
lights them up. That goes a long way into creating connection.
Oh, that's so huge. That just reminded me of this time a couple months ago. I was on a plane ride between speaking events, and I sat down. And normally I just get on a plane ride, I go to sleep, or I'll watch a movie downloaded on my iPad. But this time I was sitting down in an exit row, and it was one of those where one of the crew, their seat was facing towards you backwards. I don't know if you've ever
Yeah.
seen that
Oh,
before.
sure.
And so I'm like,
Yeah.
I could have some fun with this. And I sat there and we started to take off, and this flight attendant, she sat down in front of me, and I took my headphones off and I said, "Hey, I'm Kamryn. What's your name?" Right? People overcomplicate introductions.
Totally.
Life is so simple when you treat it like you're all in preschool again. "Hi, I'm Kamryn. What's your name?" She told me her name and all these things, and I said, "So, what made you want to be a flight attendant?"
Yep.
And then she tells me all about it, and then she goes into a question later. She goes into her divorce and her kids and how her love is her dogs and this trip she's going on in Italy. She's biking down the Italian coast and all of these things, and she's super passionate because it wasn't like, "Hey, good flight. Wow, yeah, super. How you doing? Good. Oh, the weather's amazing." Right? Not to bash on small talk, because small talk definitely has its place. But when you can get to something somebody's passionate about, those are the fun conversations. But the small talk, I will say, small talk connects all of us, no matter who we are. Because we all love
Yeah.
sunny days. We all love good food. We all hate traffic. And so it connects us on a small level. But it's the real conversations of finding emotion and passion that's what deeply connects us. But it can also divide us more. If you've ever had that tabletop dinner of talking about politics or
Sure.
religion with somebody who doesn't agree with you, right? For somebody, that could be the biggest connection you have. For others, that could be very dividing. So small talk connects us all, but it's that deep talk, that passionate conversation that connects us deeper, but only to some
Well,
people.
but you're so right. And the flight attendant story is a good one because flight attendants are often treated as workers or treated as problem solvers, or I have a question.
Mm.
They're not necessarily treated as actual human beings in a sense of like, I want to
Yeah.
get to know you. And, they've got a job to do, and they, unless you're sitting across from them, you probably don't have a ton of opportunity to do what you did. But I'll bet you're the only person that day that asked her, how'd you get into this? Like, tell me about it. Like, what do
Yeah.
you like
And
about it?
she kept giving me
What,
free snacks, and she wanted to give
yeah.
me like all these things that you had to pay for. She's like, "Hey, do you want this? Do you want this?" I'm like, "No, okay." And after I got off, she's like, "Bye." And I'm like, "Bye." So it's just fun. People want to be connected with. You just have to do it in a way that's not creepy stalker vibes.
And I always say you don't have to worry about looking like a creepy stalker if you're not a creepy stalker, right? The only
That's true.
people that really need to worry about that are people that, so, if you aren't that person, don't worry about it. Like, the feedback loop will tell you, you will find out.
Yeah.
And, but it is a thing that we are so not just divided because of our beliefs, but we are so
Mm.
removed because of technology
Mm.
that this idea of communication and connection is really more challenging, I think, because people aren't going up like you and speaking to the
Yeah.
flight attendant across the way, be like, "Hey, I'm Kamryn. Who are you?" Like, they don't. Nobody does that,
Yeah.
and because they're busy, they're on their phones, they're whatever, they're sleeping, and that's kind of how we move through life. And people are so starved for that kind of connection
Mm.
that it's not hard to do. As you said, "Hi, I'm Kamryn. What's your name?" Like, it's literally that
Yeah.
simple. And it will almost always result in a smile. Somebody's, happy to meet you. You have to pick your spots, of course. It's like, if you're a guy, don't do it to a woman while she's working out at the gym. Nobody wants that. She doesn't want that. But anywhere else, you can do that,
Yeah.
and say, "Hi, I'm so and so," and you can get to know somebody. I know that referral
Absolutely.
psychology. Let's talk about referral psychology, because that is a big
Speaking
thing
about
for you. But
passions.
yeah, go ahead.
No, I was gonna say,
Tell
speaking
me
about
about.
passion. So go
Yeah,
ahead.
no. Tell me all about it. What is referral psychology? Why should we care about it?
referral psychology. So I am huge into referrals. Referrals for realtors is the best way to do business. Growing up, my dad, he was a public speaker, and he spoke on every major stage in US and Canada for a company called By Referral Only. If you ever heard of that one. So he was part of that with all these people, including one of them. His name is Dean Jackson, marketing genius. He's amazing. And so for BNI Tampa, our franchise at BNI here in Tampa Bay, we had Dean Jackson come out for an event we did for a leadership summit, for a leadership conference. Actually, it was March Best Ideas Conference. Let me correct myself on that. And he's talking about referral psychology. And it really impacted me because it changed everything for me as far as how I see referrals. And he talks about how human nature, right? We want to refer everything to everybody. That's just what we want to do, human nature. But in a business, when we're looking for referrals, we're like, oh, I don't want to use my friends and family. I don't want to like have them, make them refer me. I don't want to, push it on people. No, we don't have to push it on people, but you can teach them how to refer you because everybody's looking to refer somebody. It's like if I start talking to DJ and I start talking about, this TV show I was watching the other day. I was watching Ted Lasso, and I was watching the scene of him throwing darts, and it was amazing, about staying curious and telling him how amazing his TV show is. I know in DJ's mind right now, he's thinking about, what TV show did I watch last? Or what TV show could I tell him about? Or if I start talking about my favorite books, DJ's going to start thinking, I wonder if Kamryn's read this book yet. And then he'll talk about it because we always want to refer. Oh my gosh, I had the most amazing steak at this place last night. Oh, dude, you've got to try this restaurant, right? We always want to refer each other. It's just, how do we do it professionally? How do we teach others how to refer us? They just need the right tools because it's different. Back in ancient days, right? We'll call them ancient days. And I actually mean ancient. I'm not talking about like the 1990s. I'm talking about, caveman days. This is how Dean Jackson describes it. I loved it. Painted a beautiful picture in my mind. He said, if you were Caveman Joe, and Caveman Joe goes out wandering and finds just this amazingly beautiful bushel of blueberries, and you're walking back to the cave, and you see Caveman Steve walking out of the cave. You're walking in, eating your blueberries, and you say, hey, Caveman Steve, if you go around the bend, under the arch, and turn to the right, you're going to find this bushel of blueberries. What happens in that circumstance is you elevated your status in the herd, as Dean Jackson calls it. You elevate your status in your community because you could have had him just say, where'd you get those blueberries? And you not tell him because you don't have to. But because you did, that signals security in your position, and you have an elevated status because you did something for somebody else that you didn't need to do. And so Caveman Steve will now be looking for things in order to equalize his status or to elevate his own status, because that's what we do. It's so much of what we do as humans is elevating our status, whether that be through relationships, whether that be through money, whether that be through career, because we want to elevate our status. And so next time he sees a saber-toothed tiger, he'll be like, hey, Caveman Joe, watch out, saber-toothed tiger over there. And that's elevating his status. And that's kind of what a referral is elevating our status. It's kind of like saying, I know something you didn't. I'm telling you because I'm cool. It's kind of like what it is. It's elevating your status. So with that, how do we teach others to do it? Knowing that we all want to do it fundamentally. Well, there's a bajillion ways to do it. Focusing on realtors, that's what we really want to do. I have a question first. How many times, DJ, you've been a realtor, you work on referrals from other realtors to grow your own brokerage, I assume?
Well, I don't, but I work very similarly to what a realtor does. I actually recruit realtors, but it's the same process because I want our existing agents to refer other agents to us, and a realtor wants their existing clients to refer, other clients. So I have the same.
Absolutely.
I don't have a different job, but the same exact process.
Same model-ish. So
Yeah.
with that, how many times have you heard, right? You tell your client or you tell one of your realtors, hey, next time you meet somebody that X and X and X and X, I would love to meet them. And then
Yeah. I
you
say it
see
a
them in the
lot. Yeah.
grocery store a couple weeks later, and they come up to you and say, hey, DJ, I was talking with my neighbor, Stacy. Did she ever reach out to you? No, she hasn't. I'm sorry that didn't work out. Hey, I tell a lot of people about you. I talk about you all the time. And then they grab their jam and they keep walking, right? How many times do we hear that? We hear that
All the time.
all the time. I work off referral basis too. I hear this all the time, and I teach people this in their communication and referrals. And so the biggest thing to close the gap is to have them introduce you personally, whether that be in person, whether that be a three-way text, three-way email. Make the connection. You don't want them to just give a business card or say, hey, you should reach out to this person. Give them a reason to connect. And so there's a lot of different ways we can do this, but you want to paint the picture in people's minds of what a good referral for you looks like. You want to paint that avatar of, families that just had a baby, that they need a bigger house, or newlyweds, or kids going off to college, or downsizing because their kids, are going off to college, or, they're getting too old, they're going to a retirement home. And painting the picture of this is who a good referral for me is. They need to know what a good referral is, and they need to know how to connect you. That is how you can be successful in referrals, not just big, open, random things. You want to be hyper specific to be able to paint that picture. Paint the Mona Lisa.
So I think that's really really important stuff. And when we're talking about painting that Mona Lisa, I think you get as granular as you can with it. It's, hey, if you ever run across somebody who mentions they're looking to move, do me a favor, shoot me an email, copy them on the email, and if you could make an introduction, I would be so eternally grateful. Versus, yeah, pass my name along, give them the actual instruction. If they know, like, and trust you, they're going to want to do it anyway. So
Especially if you make them out to be the hero. Everybody wants to be a hero. That is fundamental in who we are. We all want to be heroes. We grow up reading stories, watching movies about being the hero. So if you can have a way for them to give their friend value when referring you, that's even better, right? A great referral is fantastic, but say you tell your person who's going to refer you, if you meet somebody who's planning on moving, right? This could look like people downsizing. This could look like a new married couple. This could look like, give them a couple different options.
yeah,
There's a couple things they need to do before they move so that they can get the best price for their home and it can be the smoothest transition possible. I would love an email introduction to those people you meet because I can get them the basic steps of what they need to do to maximize the opportunity for their house.
yeah,
So
that's great.
now when they're looking a sense of, before you sell your house, you need to meet my friend DJ. He is going to tell you how to get the most out of it, right? Whether you have a checklist, whether you have whatever it is, but have a reason to introduce you rather than I want to sell their house, right? It's extra value on top of that. Just levels up those referrals.
I love that. So the tip is to get hyper specific with your referral sources. Let them know how the best way to refer business to you, those exact steps. And also, I always like to, I have a coach who at the end of every session, after he's done helping me, he'll say, how else can I help you today? And that's another thing that we can also say to those referral sources, is a version of that. Maybe that would look like, how
Powerful.
can I help you in your business? Like, is there anyone you're looking for your business or for whatever, and
Mm-hmm.
people love that. So this idea of the reciprocity piece is like, how do I also serve these referral
Mm-hmm.
sources even beyond, they already know, like, and trust me, but how can I still add value to whatever they're doing? And most of the time people will just
I mean,
go,
talk about elevating. No,
I would
keep
say
going.
most of the time people will just go, oh, I'm good, but thank you. But it's such a flattering thing to ask, and such a sign of caring about somebody, that
Mhm.
it comes off incredibly well, and it gets somebody to want to, reciprocate. So go ahead. I'm sorry.
Cutting out a little bit. Hopefully, it's reconnecting. Can you hear me? Okay.
Oh, yeah. You were cutting out a bit, but I think we're good.
Okay, I'm back. Yeah, I was gonna say,
Okay, great.
speaking of elevating your status in the herd, in your community, if you're a realtor, this is one of the most powerful things you can do to really elevate your status in whoever's eyes, is ask them that question. How can I help you? A lot inside of BNI for the realtors in different chapters. BNI is a networking group of chapters of professionals. And so we teach them this as a way to generate referrals for the referral partners in their room. And this could be the people that are in your inner circle as a realtor, whether you're in a networking group or not. But how can I help you? And then find this. Oh, we really need our HVAC system replaced. Or my mom has been having struggles with her knee. Oh, you should talk to my physical therapist. I'll get you set up. And finding the solutions, having that network of people around you, whether you're in a structured version of a group or whether that's just your inner circle of people you've developed relationships, because that way you're going to stay top of mind in both people's minds, and you're the hero to both of them because you're doing it. And that's not really communication, but I count that as communication because referrals are communication.
Absolutely. I love that. Let's dive into some communication tips. So tell us, what are some do's and don'ts in the, when you're wanting to be intentional about your communication.
Absolutely. So being intentional about communication is the top, right? That is number one. So I've got 3 tips here that are prepared specifically for realtors that it's going to be incredibly powerful for everything you're doing. The first one is this tip. It really comes from Chris Voth. He is a hostage negotiator for the FBI. He's the founder of the Black Swan Group. He's a negotiation master. And he talks about this concept called mirror and labeling. Mirroring is when you're having a conversation with somebody and you repeat what they said, right? It's kind of like that. Like if DJ tells me, oh yeah, last week I went on a vacation to Cancun. I go, vacation to Cancun? That's all I'd have to say, and that's a mirror. And then he'd tell me, yeah, we went on the Flow Rider and we got the most amazing sushi at this restaurant. I'm like, sushi? I don't have to say anything else. It's just sushi. You'd be like, oh my goodness, the sushi was amazing. There was mango on it and this thing and this. It was fantastic. Then comes in the part of the labeling, right? Mirroring is just saying the words of the most interesting, passionate word. And then the labeling is, so it sounds like you had a really good time in Cancun. Labeling, the key to a good label is it always starts with, it sounds like, it looks like, or it seems like. You can have an entire deep level conversation with you just mirroring and labeling. The other person doesn't even realize it. And they're like, oh my gosh, they're the best conversationalists in the world. They care about what I have to say just by labeling and mirroring.
So
because right, we want to talk about what we want to talk about.
Absolutely. And a practical way to do this for agents is, as you're talking to your client and you're getting a sense of what they want in their transaction. So you're looking to buy a home. Great. Tell me about exactly what you want. And, you start writing down 4 bedrooms, 4 bath, whatever, whatever all of the wants, the musts are. And then it sounds like, to make sure I have this correct, it sounds like you're looking for bang, 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 bang. And what's funny about that is you are just repeating back what they said, but to them, it is like you are speaking this magical language that is exactly in the way they categorize it in their brain, because you are literally just parroting back what they say. And also, it's a good idea to do just so that you are making sure you're calibrating to make sure that you are listening and understanding. But it is the funniest thing, because you're absolutely right. People will react to it as if you've been there like you have a key to their like the deepest thoughts. Like, wow, this guy gets me. So tell us, like, so give
Absolutely.
us some
And
other tips. What else?
another tip, let's go with the micro story. Micro stories are so powerful. And this is instead of saying, oh, this dining room is so big, it's so spacious. A micro story, super simple, could be, this is the type of dining room you could have a Thanksgiving dinner with 12 people. Or this living room is so cozy. This is the kind of living room where on a Sunday afternoon, you're just sitting here with your spouse watching the football game. Right? Those little micro stories that paints a picture in people's minds, especially as a realtor, can be incredibly powerful. But then again, you can apply this to many other things. But realtor focused, use it when describing the house, describing the room, describing what type of vibe they're going to. Now, again, this needs authenticity because you need to first connect with that person, know really what they're, because if you're talking about, oh, this is where you sit Sunday nights and watch football, if you're not the type of person that watches sports, you're like, oh, cool. Lands on deaf ears. I don't care, right? So using those micro stories.
Yeah, and what agents can do
What do you think?
in order to make sure they're
Have you
populating.
had a time micro?
Oh, sorry, I think we're a little out of sync. Apologize for that.
Oh, sorry, just cut out a little bit more. It's kind of
But
aggravating.
I was going to say, yeah, no, that's okay. So what I was saying was that, in order to know exactly what those micro stories could entail, that would be a great thing to ask a client. Hey, in your living room, how do you and your spouse anticipate using it? Like, what are the activities you do in here? And then you could create a micro story around that the next time it comes around. Because you're right. Like, I don't watch a lot of sporting events. So, for my television, that's not a big thing for me. But I do enjoy watching other types of movies and shows, or, doing other things in that same room. So you're right, is first calibrating, finding out what the person's into, and then using that to sort of uh, bring to life some of these, these, in this case, rooms.
Absolutely. And let's close it out with my third tip for realtors inside of communication, which is delivering certainty and conviction. This is huge. This is massively important with realtors because you are a rock in an uncertain time for so many people, right? Moving is stressful. Negotiating a deal is emotional. And so a lot of times people need a rock, just solid, certain person where they're like, oh yeah, absolutely done. And if you don't know something, it's not I don't know. It's, I'm going to find that out. I'm going to get that to you by 3:00, or I'm going to get that to you by tomorrow morning. And then follow through with that. But being certain and having conviction as a realtor inside of your communication is so important. And there's a way you don't have certainty when you're communicating, which is the intonations of your voice. If you're ending a sentence or a word on an uptick like this, it means you don't really know what you're saying and you're not really certain of anything, kind of questioning everything, and you don't sound like you're solid, doing like you are the rock they can depend on in this emotional, stressful time. So keeping those intonations either flat or at a downward curve, if you're visualizing that, that really communicates that certainty that a lot of home buyers need.
Yeah, that is a great tip. There are a lot of people who don't even realize that at the end of their statements they inflect up, and it's not because they are uncertain. It's just how it just sounds uncertain, whether they're uncertain or not. And so you're right; it throws you a little
Yeah.
bit. As the other person, you're like, does this person? It's confusing. So I am 100% in agreement. That is something. And also, before we get off of this, you have a very pleasant tonality. Tonality is something that doesn't really get talked about. At the very beginning, we mentioned it. It is something that you can practice.
Mm-hmm.
You can learn how to
Huge.
have better tonality. You can learn how to change the sound of your voice. it's not an inauthentic thing. It's a skill. And if people spend just a little bit of time studying this, and they can study it with you, they will find that people will respond to them totally differently than what they were in the past.
Absolutely.
Tell us about articulateadvantage.com.
Articulate advantage. But I do one-on-one coach virtually and in person, as well as keynotes and trainings virtually and in person. But I did want to touch on one last thing. You're talking about the tonality and changing your voice. So many people think it's inauthentic, as you're saying, to change your voice, because there's a handful of things that as humans we associate our personality with. And it is incredibly authentic to change your voice because you are who you've trained yourself to be. You talk the way you do just because that's the way you've always talked, and you can change it. I could talk with just a random accent. I could start talking like this the entire time. It's not a British accent. It's just a random, I have no clue what this accent rest of forever. And it would be me, and I could choose to do this, or I could speak in Spanish and I could never speak English again, and that would be me. People never say, oh my gosh, DJ, you learned how to play the guitar. That's not you. Why are you trying to be somebody you're not? Why are you trying to change who you are? But when we do it with our voices, when we want to have maybe a lower voice or a more resonant voice, or we want to have more emotion and more excitement, or if we just cut out those upper intonations and we change and we mess with the dynamics of our voice, some people be like, hey, that's not you. But it is you because you're deciding to do it. So that's just something really fun. But yeah,
And these are things that
it's my method in the world.
I love it. And for those listening, sorry, we are a little bit out of sync with our communication. It's just an internet issue. But Kamryn is an amazing communicator. He's an expert. He teaches people how to do this. He teaches organizations how to do this. And he wants to teach you as well. So go to articulateadvantage.com, learn about his services. Also consider him as a speaker for any group, organization you might be a part of, business. He can come in and work with you and give you a lot of these tips. And who doesn't need to improve their communication? We all do. It's a skill. There's always another level. And the better your communication, as Kamryn said at the beginning,
Always.
the better your connection is with other human beings. And we know that connection leads to happiness. It's very clear. And this is a good way, a great skill to practice that will actually lead you into more fulfillment and happiness, and probably more deals as an agent, and probably better relationships with your friends and family, and lots of other things. So articulateadvantage.com is where you go to learn about all things Kamryn. Also follow him on Instagram, Kamryn_Ray. We'll have a link to all of that in the show notes. Kamryn, despite our internet issues here, thank you so much. You gave a lot of great value today on the show, and I hope a lot of our audience reaches out to
Thanks
work.
for having me.
You're welcome to work with you. You are fantastic, and even though we had a communication barrier with our technology, it still went just perfectly fine. I want to thank everybody for sticking around to the end of the episode. I want to thank our sponsors. I want to thank Kamryn on behalf of the audience for taking time out of his day to talk to you and give you some value. I want also, on behalf of Kamryn and myself, to thank the audience for sticking around, being a supporter of our show. We appreciate it. 7 years now, and we have almost 7 million downloads because of the kindness of everyone listening. And if we are providing value to you, please tell a realtor about us. Shoot them a link to our website or have them pull up any podcast app, look for Keeping It Real, hit that subscribe button. And if you are listening to us on an app right now, leave us a review. Let us know what you think of the show. Helps us continue to improve so we can better meet your needs. All right, Kamryn, thank you so much. We will see everybody on the next episode. Thanks, Kamryn.